Universal Studios is a great place to get ideas for your haunted attraction. And we're not just talking about HHN.
In this video, we'll be visiting Universal Studios Hollywood Fan Fest nights. We're going to see monsters, walk in the Court of Miracles, and most importantly, break down how immersive theater techniques are used to tell a story and how that can be adapted to your haunt. First up, we're going to hit Dungeons & Dragons Secrets of Waterdeep. Roll for initiative.
That was me rolling.
And here I am, Lana, Star Shadow, far too patient for my own good. We don't have much time. Now, where did I hide the quest details? Oh, no, I wouldn't worry about that. She's gorgeous, though. Only the skilled can awaken the magic of you, wizard. Reach towards it, check if it answers you. You're quite the ability. Xanathar, the evil Prime Lord, once again seeks to destroy the city of Waterdeep. This time with the Dragon Star of Aberon. He has aligned with the powerful red dragon sickle.
No one here looks ready.
Easy now, Evie. We have quite the journey ahead of us. We shouldn't scare the only allies that agree to come along.
Well, if these guys are scared of me, then they're not ready for what waits beyond these walls.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, they're ready. Yeah, you guys are ready. Yeah, I contact as absent-tainted travelers, and we're all members of the Harpers, aren't we? Let me hear you, Harpers!
Harpers!
The dragon structure.
Marshals, the Dragon Lord no longer protects your city.
Hold up.
Look at the fire, just look at me. Everything's fine.
Waterdeep will burn and all of your treasure will now be mine.
Get down! We need to get everyone out of here now. Oh, this is the entrance to Xanathar's lair. We're gonna have to solve the puzzle to get out of here. Fighters, are you detecting any dangerous creatures anywhere?
Hey, what's up? Behind you! Good job, good job. Now I'm sick of all these mimic surprises. It's time for Thunder! Thank you.
What's happening? Oh, it is a puzzle, and you guys are the pieces.
Everyone gets on a green zone. Take musical chairs.
Yes, but with your life.
Green zone. Quickly. Right there.
You know what the color green is, don't you? Get into a green zone now. Green.
Get down.
Get into the sun. Oh my God.
Yeah, we did it!
Don't make
Harpers!
All right, the puzzle is solved. Xanathar's up ahead. Let us go.
You, troublemaker, over here with me. I need to keep close tabs on you.
Wizard.
Come. I don't fight, you know, unless you deserve it. Is everyone ready?
Yeah!
Let's do it. Now, I'm excited that kind of feels like
Steal from Xanathar. No.
everyone look down! Whoa! That was close.
Xanathar is the rightful owner of the Dragon Staff.
Did you really think you did this yourself?
I mean,
It was I.
Lale, Star Shadow.
Whoa.
This wand is alive.
Whoa.
Nothing can stop me now.
Light her up, Evie.
You got it.
Welcome to the cult
Whoa.
of the Dragon.
Hey, Lord! The Lord of Lightning Bolt sent you! What do we do?
Yes.
Wow!
Yes.
Yeah!
Until our next adventure, our Harper friends. Whoa. Heart first! 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 Heart first!
All right, so that was D&D. What did we think? What are your thoughts?
I loved that. I think it is a great way of showing how you can do a haunted house style, environment or an attraction, but not be like scary. It told a story, had great sets, great. I loved it.
Yeah, I think it's a good example, like structurally, that you could use to like tell a story with your haunt, right? Like there were set rooms, and then you'd go in, and then the story would unfold as you went, and you could easily do the same kind of setup with like with a horror story or a
Absolutely,
horror movie.
yeah.
So, but yeah, I liked how interactive and immersive it was, and like I think if you did a haunt like that, it would be super different. I think people would talk about how it's not just a maze and jump scares. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but if you run somewhere and you got 5 mazes, maybe do 4 mazes and then something like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right, on to the next, yeah?
On to the next. All right, so next up is Jurassic Park. And, we're excited for this one.
Yeah, one of my favorite movies of all time. Let's go.
Man.
Let's go check it out.
Let's go.
Mr. Hammond.
Hello, we're on Hammond. I'm from the band.
Thank you kindly.
Yes.
We're looking for more investors here if you're interested.
Well, there's no chefs, I heard.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to look around. Thank you
Please
for your
do.
time.
Of
Yes.
course.
Simple as that. That's how we want to train our dinos. We want you to be comfortable, and we want India to be comfortable around all of you. Great job, bud.
Do you teach her any tricks?
So we don't teach tricks, but we teach basic commands. So if I click that and she responds, we give her a positive reinforcement.
Okay.
And because she responded, I will give her a nice frozen mouse later.
Okay.
Which she just responded when she hears those words.
I can tell.
Now she's looking around.
Well,
to
now
see
we
if-
just teased her. That's not
I
fair.
know, that's not good. All right, I promise I'm going to give you a frozen mouse. Oh, sorry about that,
There
India.
you go. There you go, India. All right. It's good to meet you, India.
Come on.
So what is the magic word?
Oh, now wait a minute. You got 20 bucks? I don't just give it out willy-nilly.
No?
Absolutely not.
Not even to another poor worker like you who's trying to get around the man?
Let's just say, if it were to be a password, it would have something to do with a snack.
Well, that doesn't narrow it down, but okay.
Let it stew.
Let it... Oh.
Ah. Oh, food humor. I like it. I'm hungry. Don't you worry.
I like
You'll
it
be all
too.
right.
Okay.
You'll find.
All right.
You'll think and you'll go, I got it.
Okay, fair.
You'll be there.
Watch out for those Dilophosaurs.
Don't bring her into this. I get nervous when I hear about that.
I feel it.
We're big fans.
Thank you so very much. Excited to have everyone here. Seeing how the dinosaurs are doing.
Yeah. How are they doing well?
Doing very, very well.
Very well. Okay.
You have any favorites?
I love the Triceratops.
Oh, I love them too.
Yeah.
They were my first and best little hatch.
Really? Okay. All right. But the Raptors, they're just cool.
They're very smart. Each generation gives me something to work with. So.
Okay.
Be aware that 2 raptors have escaped the perimeter. Can I get a confirmation that security personnel are in position on the ridgeline?
We're in position. No sign of the raptors so far.
All Gen security personnel, this is a code red warning. The raptors are coming this way. Take all necessary precautions, and you are approved.
No, do not engage! Everyone needs to get back! If the raptors are headed this way, you need to listen to me! If Blue needs to... Too late. She's here. Engines, stay behind me. Do not engage. Easy.
Attention, Blue has breached the compound. Stay alert. The other raptor will be close by. They never travel alone.
Hey, Zulu's out, Zulu's out, Zulu's out. Engine, you will need to give them space. They feel threatened, they're gonna defend themselves. Stay on Zulu, stay on Zulu. You need to bring your team out of here. Right now! All they're doing is provoking them!
Engage raptor emergency protocol.
Watch out, watch out!
They should need to get these people out of here right now. They are just making things worse. You all in the middle! Do not move! Hey! Easy. Easy. Engineers can't split up like that. They're gonna pick you off one at a time. Buddy, you need to back off. Get her space.
Send in the retrieval unit. I repeat, send in the retrieval unit.
Get him to back that thing up. Better not send in anything else. Buddy, you need to drop the shock stick.
Stronger measures. Bring in Aerial 7.
Base easy. Base Blue is going back in on her own. Clear a path for the room. Get that gate?
Attention all personnel. We are back to Code Green. I repeat, we are
All right, so that was Jurassic Park. What'd you think? First thoughts?
I thought it was fantastic. I think the characters were just phenomenal. They looked and sounded exactly like them. Nedry was so fast on his feet.
Yeah, he was really funny. And the casting was spot on. Like everybody it sounded exactly like their character and acted exactly like their character. Casting in the direction, I should say, were spot on.
Yeah, and who knew that we needed a raptor stunt show?
That was everything 10-year-old me always wanted.
Yeah.
And I think like that's a good example of stuff you could do like in your haunt if you have a midway, right? Like they just kind of had breakout entertainment that just kind of popped up, made the world feel alive.
Yeah.
Right? Because when we first kind of came in, it was a lot of like, it was the static dinosaurs and there were the characters to help it feel alive, but those were more one-on-one interactions. But as soon as that like raptor fight broke out, or the raptor containment thing broke out, it was like it felt like a world rather than just a museum I was visiting. So.
Yeah, and it's a great idea to help tell your story, is having characters from the world sort of living in it in real time. So, yeah.
Cool. On to the next?
Yeah, on to the next. Let's go. All right, it's time for our most anticipated moment. We're getting to go to the Court of Miracles with the Universal monsters.
It's a dream come true. We've always wanted to visit the Court of Miracles, like walk around, and we're not bougie enough for the VIP, so this is a bucket list thing for us. So
yay!
Here we go.
Oh my gosh.
We've got some work to do now.
So we made it. We're here in the Court of Miracles.
And I'm speechless and I might cry because it's that amazing.
Yeah, it's a privilege to be here. I'm looking around and I'm like, I think this is where this movie was. I think that this is where this movie was. Like, just turn around right here, for example. Right over there, that tunnel there, I think that's where the farmer comes out, like carrying Maria's body in Frankenstein. And just the fact that we are here right now is blowing my freaking mind.
I can't
I can't believe we're here. It's amazing.
thank you Universal for this opportunity, because holy cow.
Yeah, we just watched like several monsters do like routines, which was also amazing to be able to see like some of our favorite characters like in the place where the films were originally shot. It's just an experience you can only get in LA, and it's amazing. So I'm really glad that they opened this up so that the public could experience this.
Yeah, it's again, I'm speechless. So cool.
Amazing.
Now, my friend, it's such an honor to have someone who solved the mystery. Come on over. Okay, now
All right, so we just did the back lot, the Universal Monsters and Scooby-Doo. What'd you think? What are your thoughts?
I'm overwhelmed by it all, to be honest. I liked the idea of having the immersive game, the mystery. But truth be told, I was there for the monsters. So it just was amazing to see and interact with the different monsters in Little Europe in the Court of Miracles. So
yeah, as a fan of the Universal Monsters of all of those movies, it was great to interact with the monsters in that setting in Little Europe. That's a dream come true. I have some thoughts on the mixing of the two properties, though.
Same.
I thought tonally they clashed a little bit.
Yeah.
But we can talk about that more when we do our discussion later.
Yeah, absolutely.
But overall, just happy I have to go to the Court of Miracles and hang with Frank and the Bride and Dracula and the Wolfman.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so we just finished Fan Fest. That's it, right? We were going to do Harry Potter, but it was a crazy long wait, so we decided
way
not to.
too long. We're sorry, guys. We didn't do that one.
That would have been a good discussion about interactive theater too, but just we just didn't want to stand in line for that long. Really, honestly, it was we were tired more than anything. So, now we're gonna probably just head to our car and we'll do a deeper dive in there. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. So we're back in the car. Fan Fest. What do we think?
I think it was a really neat experience. I think, before we get into more in depth, I think it just, I think it was really amazing the way that they utilized characters, the way that they utilized the IPs. It just felt like a living thing, for lack of a better word. And I really enjoyed it. What did you think?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think, and we didn't go to last year's, but we saw a lot of videos. Like, I was having surgery at the time, so we couldn't go to last year's. But we watched the videos and we're like, oh, this is really cool, and we wanted to go. And a commonality between the stuff I saw from last year and this year is like the stuff they really pour, money and resources and people into and invest is extraordinarily well done. And then there are some IPs that are just sort of, they're there too. You know what I mean? Like they advertise Mario being a part of the Fan Fest, and yet like they had some Yoshi meet and greets, and it wasn't like anything overly special, right?
No, at least not. At least everything we saw, we actually didn't bother going, because if it was just kind of more just sort of meet and greets, we didn't feel it there was so much to do. And if you don't have Express, hey, subscribe, help us get Express at these things.
Express,
I think Mario was in particular is one. I know everyone was super excited to see Sailor Moon, and she was really, really cool. To see her, we saw her from a distance because the line was really long. But I feel like if you're a fan, I feel like, Yeah, man, I don't know. Like, it just felt like it was a little phoned in.
Yeah, a little bit.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I know they had the movie in the, like...
Oh, in the Kung Fu Panda.
Kung Fu Panda thing.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't prioritize that because we were focusing on the immersive theater stuff this time, right? Which is also why we skipped One Piece.
Yeah.
Also, I think we don't know One Piece. That's not an IP that we're familiar with. And when I heard about it, I was sort of like, okay, that's fine. But I've seen Waterworld, and I've seen Slaughterworld, and I've seen Purge Waterworld.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I needed to see One Piece Waterworld.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember like Harry Potter was one of those IPs last year that I felt was pretty phoned in, and this year it was supposed to be amazing. We missed it, of course, because it was just like the line was so long, probably because it was amazing.
Yeah.
So we're sad about that, but let's talk about the stuff we did
see.
Let's start at the beginning. D&D, Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons was, I mean, in all honesty, like, this sort of thing is kind of the future of haunts. I really think, because it was, I think this is a way that haunts can stay open all year without and also draw a new audience, which I know this is a hot take, but I think haunts desperately need, because they're not gonna, they have the audience they have, and it's really hard to grow. And something like this just makes it so much more accessible. It gives your actors and your tech team and everybody involved, like, it felt like an HHN maze, but it wasn't like a bunch of jump scares, and it told a great story. And to your point earlier, I think the way that it's structured is also something that you can adapt into a haunt.
Yeah. Because I think while it was a lot like, I think it had the tech and the like vibes of an HHN haunt, but like the thing that I enjoyed about it was how much more interactive it was than an HHN haunt, which again you could do in the horror genre.
Yeah.
Right. And the thing about Universal is, you get people going through, in the Congo line. It's hard to move that many people through and still have it interactive. And yet this found a way to do that.
Yeah.
And it was sort of, they were ushering people in big groups. So it's like, I think you could adapt that format to like a horror haunt setting. And, and people would really dig it. Because again, it felt like we were a part of the story instead of like
passing
through. Yeah, it's the best way to put it. And I agree with you that I think more haunts should like look at doing less scary or medium scary stuff, which, again, is a hot take, because you do want to expand that base of people who come, and I think everyone likes Halloween, but not everyone likes super scary Halloween. And I think if you could find a way to make an attraction for people to bring their like scaredy cat friends, right? Like, and still like, but you're going to get a cool story. You're going to get this out of it, right? I think that's how things like HHN and, Scary Farm and those kinds of things have grown, is you can still go, well, come see these mazes. There's an artistry to them, right? And when you have that, when there's something else other than getting scared to hang your hat on, you'll grow your audience, and that may not seem like something you want. You may be like, who cares? I don't need those people. But the people who like scary stuff, it's a finite number. It's a niche thing, and so finding a way to get people that other haunts aren't getting, right? Especially like the scarier and the more extreme you go, the numbers get smaller and smaller and smaller. It gets more and more niche, and so I think you get a lot of haunts that are looking to compete. And they go, well, we'll go extreme to compete. And I think maybe some haunts should consider going the other way.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's, again, a hot take, but I think it definitely is something worth exploring. I think, especially if you're in an area where there are, we're in Southern California, and there are so many haunted attractions, and they're all, And
you could
and,
literally not visit all of that. You know, you
right,
could take
yeah,
the whole season and not see everything.
Yeah,
There's just
you
no
know.
way you could see everything.
So if you're trying to stand out in something like that, this is something nobody's really doing, you know, and again, we're not saying not scary. We're not saying, like make a kid maze, although that would bring in people. We're saying is think about, telling a story that isn't just about the jump scares.
Yeah, definitely. Because that's a segue. Like, think of it as a gateway maze.
Yeah.
Right? You're trying to get people who would balk at a maze and be like, no, I don't want to get scared. I hate getting scared. But if you say it's a little creepy, but there's a really cool story, people might go, well, okay, it's Halloween. I might give that a go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then if they enjoy themselves, they'll come back and like maybe they'll do increasingly scary stuff, and that's maybe the way to think about it, right? And so D&D kind of had that vibe. It was, again, very interactive. I got to be a wizard. I got to touch the crystal ball, which was awesome. Very cool. And everything was it was that you compared it to HHN, and I think the level of detail is maybe what.
Yeah, that's it felt like an HHN maze without the jump scares, and obviously doing the structure with the two hosts leading you through is not something that HHN has done, at least to my knowledge. Maybe they have, let us know in the comments. But the quality of the props, the quality of the sets, the tech, the costumes and makeup, very HHN vibes, very, very, very HHN vibes. And I will say is, okay, HHN, can we have a fantasy maze? Just saying. But no.
Or a Jurassic Park maze. That's what I want. Now, I know it's probably like some Spielberg stuff or something, but like watching that Beholder, like puppet or animatronic or whatever it was, I was like, that could be a T-Rex head.
Absolutely.
You could do this if you really wanted to do it.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, absolutely.
How about that?
And that's kind of a good segue into the next.
It is.
Yeah.
To Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
What'd you think about that? Jurassic Park, what'd you think?
I think Jurassic Park is what they did is kind of the unsung, like it's kind of the sleeper hit of the event.
Agreed. Yeah.
Like it just.
Yeah. I know the guy wearing the Jurassic shirt, surprises, but no, I thought they did so much with so little.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, and again, this is one of the benefits that Universal Hollywood has is their actual working studio, and a lot of the props are just there, and so they basically moved a bunch of like screen used vehicles and props to this little area, and it's just this like nothing little, like it used to be a hill, and now they've dug it out, and now it's this like entertainment area / line for HHN.
Right. It was the Jason line.
It was the Jason line at HHN this last year. But like, so they, and they added like lights, and then of course they had the gates, which, you walk in, just, if you're any kind of a Jurassic Park fan, you just, that's insane. But it was something they didn't announce. It was something that sort of just came up. We saw, vloggers saw it because you could see it from the crazy mall escalators, and vloggers just started being like, why is there a T-Rex in that area? What's going on? And everybody was like, is this for FanFest? We don't know. And then it ended up being this like really cool little like immersive experience. And they found, my God, they found like some of the best actors I think I've ever seen at one of these things to play these characters. Like, they not only looked but sounded like all of the characters.
Oh, it was spot on. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
I think the highlight too was the kind of like the Raptor containment show.
Yes.
Which was, I think, desperately needed because, when I'm sitting here talking about earlier, when I'm talking about like some of the stuff was underwhelming, like, we had in Mario, we just had some Yoshis, which are essentially just meet and greet characters or photo ops. Sailor Moon was a meet and greet character, kind of a photo op. They did have the like movie that you could watch.
Yeah.
But the fact that the Jurassic area could have kept it just photo ops and meet and greets with the characters, and instead added this piece of entertainment that again felt immersive. Like it made that whole area come alive and feel real, right? Feel less like you were walking. It felt less like you were walking through looking at props, and more that you were in the world of Jurassic.
Yeah. And it was to your point with the show, it really, again, they did a great job of choreographing it and making you as the audience being like, oh, stay back, and so you felt really immersed in the, there was somehow a level of danger, even though you're like, I know, there's no danger.
Yeah, because you were right there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They also had like pretty good stunts. Like dudes were like falling on concrete and stuff. And it kind of reminded me of like old school Universal, because Universal used to be like
stunt shows. Yeah.
Yeah. Like 50% tram tour and the other 50 was stunt shows pretty much.
Yeah. Waterworld was not the only stunt show for years.
Yeah. Waterworld's the only surviving stunt show. And I love Waterworld, but it is very like out there in the distance, right? Where this, you were right up in the action, and it was another way to immerse people. Which again, if you're building a haunt, this is a great way to do it. Have these little like breakout moments, right? Like I think a lot of people do the interactive characters like in their cues and things like that, and I think that's all great. I think like talking to Nedry and John Hammond and all that stuff like also helped and was also a heck of a lot of fun and was great, and you can have your individual characters in your queue, like talking to people and that kind of stuff, or in your midway interacting with people, but adding just like a breakout moment where it's like, oh, this, adding a story, a storied moment, I think can really heighten the immersion.
Yeah, I mean, if you create some sort of false danger for the people waiting in line, it just builds that anticipation. Or even if it's something like afterwards in your midway, like if your midway comes after, you're continuing the story. It didn't just end after that haunt.
Right.
I know that can be difficult if like you have one of those really, really long haunts that has a bajillion different themes. It's a little harder. But
right. If your attraction is 100% maze, obviously there's not much you can.
But I think I definitely think that there's more. I think that there's more immersion that can be done, and I think that is a direction a lot of haunts are going, and I'm excited for that. It's sort of like, taking a scare zone and making it connect to something.
Well, yeah, I think a scare zone's a great example. You look at like what Not Scary Farm does with the Goring 20s, and how the first year they implemented it, it was very walking around character interactions, that kind of thing, and then they added the dance. And it became like the most popular thing. Yeah. Right? Everybody goes down and needs to be a part of that dance. And that's the thing, is have those tiny little like story moments, have those little scripted moments that are,
Yeah.
So let's move on to the last one, to
the main attraction.
Yeah, Scooby-Doo meets the Universal Monsters. I have opinions. I'm sure you do too.
I do.
Yeah.
First things first, and I think we talked about this in earlier in the video, right after. I mean, this experience, again, this is something that Universal Studios Hollywood can do that no one else can do, is let you walk where the movies were filmed, and I mean, I've done it for so long now. But I still get goosebumps when I get to go to the Bates Motel and walk by the Psycho House, but this was the Court of Miracles, which is something I've always been jealous of, the VIP tours. I get to go and walk around. This is the birthplace of the monster movie, which, let's be honest, is the birthplace of the horror genre as kind of we know it. And so it's just so special to get to do that. I applaud them for this immersive situation that they did back there. That you know, they really had the monsters interacting with you, and they had the Scooby Gang interacting with you, and there was a whole mystery you were supposed to solve. And I think that, again, I think this is something that we're going to see more of in haunts and things. I think, you know, this is what people want. People want experiences that they can film. And I know a lot of haunts are against filming. So doing something like this in your midway or whatever is something that's going to draw a crowd in, because they can film it, or they should be able to film it. Because this is really what they want.
Right.
And I do think this is going to be kind of the future as we see it.
Yeah.
Now, my personal opinions, truth be told, and don't come at me, I didn't really grow up with Scooby-Doo, so I don't have an affinity for those characters. I do have a huge affinity for the Universal monsters. And I know you touched on this, I think that the two together didn't mesh all that well, in my opinion. I think, you know, you sort of, and I get why they did it, you know, you wanted, you know, maybe it was that we wanted something not so scary for the kids, although the Universal monsters, kids seem to love them. You know, maybe it was we couldn't figure out a way to keep people there with just the Universal monsters. I think they could have, personally. I guess what I'm trying to say is I feel like, honestly, the Scooby-Doo gang was kind of a distraction.
I love anytime we're able to, like, have an experience at a historic film set, you know. I remember the first time they were doing the Terror Tram, where you got to go in the Bates Motel at HHN. We were like, we have got to go.
Yeah.
I think we had missed the prior year, which was actually the first year they brought HHN back to Hollywood. But the second year they were like, we're doing Bates Motel, and we were like, we have to do this.
Yeah.
And now it's like one of my favorite Halloween traditions is getting to go to the Bates Motel. Similarly, was it, I think 2 years ago, they did a maze inside Soundstage 12, which is where Frankenstein and Dracula and the Bride of Frankenstein were all filmed, and they did a bride maze inside of that soundstage, and I'm just such a lover of, like, film history that, like, I was like, that's it. That's my favorite maze right there, just because we got that experience. Like, I thought Ghostbusters was probably more fun. Insidious scared the ever-living crap out of me. But that maze, I was like, I'm never going to get another experience like that again. So I love when Universal does this. And I remember we saw when the videos from last year when they were doing Back to the Future on the lot, and we were like, this is like the coolest experience
so cool.
ever. And when we kind of got, like, rumors that they're doing something in Court of Miracles and it might be FanFest, we were like, oh my gosh, are they going to do Universal Monsters? And we got really excited, and we were like, hell or high water, we're going to this thing. And then we learned that they paired it with Scooby-Doo, and we went like, okay. But then, you know, we were like, we'll give it a chance, you know, in good faith. You know, we'll try and like it for what it is instead of disliking it for what it isn't. But getting there, you know, I did have a moment when we were in the Court of Miracles where I was like, wow, I can't believe I'm here, and I'm standing where film history was made, where a lot of my favorite movies were made. And, you know, this guy's speeding by on it. But, like, when we first got off the tram, instead of having that moment of, like, oh, holy crap, here we go. There were lights, and they were playing the Scooby-Doo theme, and, like, Scooby was there with the Mystery Machine, and it just was, like, not the vibe for, hey, this is hallowed ground for the Universal Monster fans. It was just not the vibe. It was just distracting. Really, it was. I thought the game was a cool idea, right? And I would love to see more of that, more interactive stuff, more stuff that makes people use their brains. That's really cool. I love that.
And pay attention to the story.
Yeah. No, I loved the game and the mystery of it all, but just the tone of the Scooby-Doo thing, it just like distracted. And I get what you're saying, where like they didn't want to make it scary, but it's like this is the perfect thing they could have done scary. You have the tram, and you can tell people, do not get on this tram if you don't want to be scared. There's already a barrier there. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to do something scary, do it with the tram. You know, I've heard some people say like, oh, well, you know, like a lot of the monsters don't talk and they wanted interaction. And it's like, you absolutely could have had people that were interaction. There are characters all over those movies that they could have interacted with. You could have done like, well, you could have done Larry Talbot, and then he disappears and then becomes the Wolfman. You could have done
Burgermeister.
You could have done the Burgermeister. You could have done
Dr. Frankenstein.
Dr. Frankenstein. Yeah, Henry Frankenstein could have showed up. You know, you could have had Van Helsing. Hello. That would have been the coolest thing, is Professor Van Helsing's there and he's like, I am here looking for monsters, and like they put him behind a paywall, the Invisible Man, but you could have had Dr. Griffith. You could have had
Renfield.
You could have had Renfield.
Oh my God.
You could have had like there are tons of characters that you could have done to like to tell the stories of these movies for people that aren't familiar with them. And it could have been engaging and it could have been cool. And I think that's the other thing that kind of disappointed me about it a little, is watching that stuff from Back to the Future. It was a complete celebration of Back to the Future. A complete celebration of that movie. And here I'm like, cool, we're going to get a celebration of these Universal Monster movies that we love so much. And we kind of did. Like, not really. Like, not on the level or the scale that they did with Back to the Future. And it just like for me, it's like the only reason they did it is because Scooby merch is going to sell. You know, or something. Like if I'm wrong, if you think there's another reason, like if you don't think it was, you know, that, like tell me in the comments, you know. I'm open to hearing other points of view. It's just
if you disagree with us, like let us know.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
If you loved the Scooby Gang and
100%.
thought that
most people seem to is the thing.
We were, although there are quite a few people who were just sort of
were just monsters.
Who just sort of like put the game down and was like, okay, I'm just here to see the monsters, you know.
Yeah, we actually had at one point Dracula scolded people.
For not
playing the game. He's like, you need to free me or whatever, you know. And it was like, you know,
apprehend it and not mask it. Yes.
Yes.
Do not fail.
I wouldn't dream of it.
Yet, only a handful of you have your books out and are trying to apprehend the thief.
I got called out by Dracula.
As much as it pains me to say it, if necessary.
Like, you know.
And there was a moment where I was like, oh
yeah, that's
bad.
us. We were just going around looking at monsters and stuff. Yeah.
We just wanted to say hi to you, and we weren't playing the game, and you know. So kudos to the to the cast for, you know, trying to keep people engaged in this, you know, in this mystery and this game and everything. But I agree with you. I think, also like, the villain was this, campy Scooby-Doo character.
Right, exactly.
And so he kept he controlled the monsters, which, was fine, but they would have a moment, which again was cool to see them have a moment in the Court of Miracles or whatever. But it's it's brightly colored, and there's their theme mixed with techno music, and it was just it was just not, as you said, it was just not the vibe.
There was a couple monster mini shows, as it were, where it was the Phantom director was like, oh, I'm controlling the monster, and there were a couple locations, and one was by the iconic fountain, and those tended to be the weird rave ones.
Weird. Yeah, it was a choice.
But they had one in the corner over by where Velma was at.
Velma was, yeah.
And the Video Village Velma was in. And that was, I think, incredibly well done because they used the walls behind them to cast these big, long shadows of the monsters. And if you are familiar with those movies, long shadows are the vibe of those movies, right? So it was one of those where that corner, that tiny little corner, captured the vibe of those movies and was a celebration of those movies. And they even projected parts of the movies on that wall. But again, it's like we're in the freaking Court of Miracles, and we're getting like, a lot of campy stuff, a lot of bright pastel colors, a lot of, what I mean? And yeah, I don't know. As a fan, I was a little disappointed in that.
Not knocking it, it just wasn't. I think it could have been more of a love letter to the monster movies, and I think kind of compare, it just feels like, we haven't had, a monster house at HHN and in the last year, and probably not again this year, I'm assuming, but and now this, and it just kind of felt like, well, this was your chance to kind of, so I'm sort of like putting vibes out there of like, hey, John Murdy, we know you love the monsters. So John Murdy, have a seat. Can you make, and even if it's VIP, oh my God, I will save up and do VIP. Could you maybe have the Court of Miracles experience with just the monsters for HHN? Like, yeah, holy cow.
Yeah, for HHN, that would be the way to do it.
Oh,
right?
It would be so good.
That would be incredible.
It would be so good. John Murdy, I know you watch us.
Obviously. But John Murdy, I know you're one of the 4 people who watches this channel.
Yeah.
So, but honestly, there were some Easter eggs in there, and those were, he may have had a.
Oh, I feel like he had to.
Like they had the silver cane from the Wolfman, and they had that was in the antique shop. The girl from the Wolfman.
Oh, I think even the Long Shadow had Murdy's
probably
all over it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the light is a big motif in the original Frankenstein film, right? Like, there's the shot where he's like sticking his hands up to the light, and there's like, they do the Henry has a whole monologue about how light is like knowledge, and like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a big motif in that movie.
Yeah.
And so the long shadows were like, when I saw Frank with those long shadows, I was like, yes, absolutely, but yeah. So
anyways, we're just putting that out in the universe.
Yeah, I think the Scooby thing, like, while it's not our bag, like my complaint with it is not that it's not my bag. My complaint with it is that it overran something that is my bag. If they were separate experiences, I would be like, oh, that Scooby thing's really fun. It's a mystery, and you're with the gang, and like that's really fun. What I feel like is that the thing I liked, the thing that I am a fan of, that I wanted to celebrate at FanFest, was like second banana to this to this other thing that is a fine fandom, and like people can love it, but it just it just overshadowed it is the thing. Like,
yeah. And before you guys come because I'm sure, I know that there's been like a crossover before. Like I understand. We understand that. It's really more just the vibe of this specific situation and where it was located, and that's the thing. Is if you wanted to do Scooby-Doo and the Universal Monsters, don't do it in the Court of Miracles, because that's where the Universal Monsters are born, and it just felt sacrilegious a little bit, not to get dramatic, but it just really felt like, I don't know, just the vibe was not, it just was not a celebration of that. That being said, again, the game, the interacting with characters, the having a mystery to solve, in terms of like adapting to haunt, I think should happen. I think could happen. I think it's a great way to get people to know the backstory of your haunt. I think it's also a great way to get people to stick around. Because I got to tell you, people were standing around and there was lines after lines for the food. And I know that for haunters, that's a big thing, is you're trying to get people to stick around. Having different kinds of entertainment is a way of doing that. And I think having something like this where it's like, oh, they get to solve this. I mean, and if it like ties into what's going on in your house, like that's next level stuff.
Thanks for listening to our rant about how the monster movies are not respected. Let's give some classic monster love, because those movies are a big part of our culture for a reason. They're masterpieces, and they need to be celebrated and not sidelined.
If you like, this content, obviously we've said it before, subscribe, but hit the like button, comment. If you disagree with us, comment, let us know. We'd love to hear that. But liking and subscribing lets the algorithm know that, things like this deserve more conversations.
All right, so that's going to do it for us. And so until next time, support your local scare actor.
Have a good night.